punched in the gut, stabbed in the back.
The best way to stay competitive is to move production to Monterrey, Mexico.
What am I going to do?
They've gotten a raw deal.
Very disrespectful, and I felt like they left us behind.
Life is going to change.
We have heard your anger and your disappointment over Carrier's decision to move jobs here.
We're not going away quietly.
Mexico's a disaster.
Would you work for $3 an hour?
Something's got to change in this country.
Workers take a stand outside the Carrier plant.
We've got to keep these jobs here.
Call 6 investigates. Moving to Mexico from RTV6.
Save the jobs. That's the call from Carrier workers as their company prepares to move to Mexico. And people are counting on the state's outlook that 100,000 jobs are available in Indiana. 100,000 jobs for 100,000 people. That's enough to fill Victory Field more than 5 times. Call 6 Investigates asked the Indiana Department of Workforce Development to give us a snapshot of the jobs in question. Working for you, our digital team dug into the data to crunch the numbers. Most of the available jobs were in healthcare, retail, transportation, and warehousing. 44,000 would pay less than $45,000 a year. More than 23,000 jobs pay less than $30,000. Manufacturing jobs rank 6th, with about 4,000 positions available, earning an average $63,000.
Sadness and fear. Yeah. Thank you. Fear of what's going to come. You know, you don't know. There's no way of knowing what's going to happen. And you know that your life's going to change tremendously. I mean, it just is.
Many workers that I talk with are nervous about what's next. One veteran who fought in the first Iraq War hopes the changing economy isn't his enemy.
I'm an outdoorsman anyway from being in the military. Take my mind away from the job, ease my mind.
The path is unclear for Richard Burns.
52 years old now. What do I do now? I got to fight for my life, fight for another job.
The last time Richard was in a fight, he was in a tank. In 1991, he served in the Army during the first Iraq War. In March 1994, he left the military. By July, he was hired at Carrier.
I bring loyalty, you know. Like in the military, we had that American soldier's creed, you know. Look out for our commanders, look out for commanders, and our commanders will look out for us, you know, and we never leave anybody behind. And I felt like they left us behind. They left a lot of Americans behind.
Tom Fugate is changing course on his plans.
I've came to the realization that it's a given thing that they are moving.
He talked about retiring in about 5 years.
I've been there since I was 18 years old. Here I am 61. I mean, that's my lifetime right there. So I just need to kind of every so often just get away from things.
Tom thinks he can survive on a part-time job when the time comes. But Richard, he says he needs a full-time position.
People are prone to hire somebody at 22, then 52, then somebody can give them 30 or 40 years instead of somebody that will only give them 10 years. Because it'll be time for me to retire in about 10 more years.
With his last child heading to college in the fall, he says he'll need to earn at least $15 an hour and is open to a new career.
I doubt I look for a manufacturing job. I don't want another door to close on me like this.
A city-led task force and state officials are working behind the scenes on the programs that they will provide when United Technologies Carrier begins cutting jobs. The Carrier production jobs in Mexico will pay $3 an hour. That's the average hourly wage for manufacturing workers in Mexico since December 2015. For the past 5 years, it was $2.55 an hour. The lowest level, $2 back in 2009.
They see one company can go over to Mexico and make the profits that they're going to make. Other companies will soon join. If they can manufacture something that is so important in our everyday lives, and I can produce it for less, and then I can in turn sell it for something so much more and make billions of dollars off of it, why can't we do it? Why do we have to use American workers?
Indiana leads the nation in manufacturing jobs, and Governor Mike Pence says he's not concerned that other companies will follow Carrier or those low wages.
The workers in Indiana, I think, are the best in the country and the best in the world. Our productivity is second to none. The cost of skilled labor in this country versus competitor countries around the world has been leveling off in recent years. That's why you see a lot of reshoring of manufacturing jobs that have been coming back to the United States. I'm very confident we have been able to succeed in the global marketplace. We're going to continue to be able to succeed, but we have got to get some relief from the avalanche of taxes and regulations coming out of Washington, D.C.
People are boiling mad over free trade agreements like NAFTA.
Who are we? Steel workers. What do we want? Justice. Stand up. Fight back. Stand up. Fight back.
Critics of NAFTA have made their voices known on the streets of Indianapolis. NAFTA was signed in December 1993 between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. It's a pact that's created and taken jobs.
I hope somebody can step up and stick to a promise of helping people like myself and the people I work with from stopping these companies from doing this.
I believe they are gone. They are going to make too much money by moving. And, you know, corporate greed, you can't mess with that. I mean, up here we can't work for what they can work for down there.
We have seen both sides of the foreign trade coin. On one side, since 2011, the Federal Trade Adjustment Act has helped more than 13,000 Hoosiers and more than 100 businesses. It's cost nearly $33 million to retrain and help those workers. On the other side, Indiana has benefited from trade. Plus, major foreign businesses employ thousands of Hoosiers at Rolls-Royce, Toyota, Subaru, NSK, Honda, and Roche. The 2016 presidential race put Carrier in the national spotlight. Both parties promised to bring back manufacturing jobs to the country, and candidates mentioned Carrier in their stump speeches.
Carrier.
We got this Carrier Corporation.
Carrier. Carrier.
We have seen the shutdown of tens of thousands of factories. We've seen a race to the bottom. We need a new set of trade policies which work for workers, not just the CEOs of large corporations.
Free trade, great, but it's not working for us. It's not working for us.
Katie, some say that Carrier is becoming a poster child against the pending Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Rafael, some are calling that trade pact NAFTA on steroids. Congressman Andre Carson believes TPP would be good for Indiana's farmers, but not for manufacturers. We're talking about more than 523,000 people earning on average $1,100 a week. Carson is saying no TPP and says he would support revisiting and reworking NAFTA.
No piece of legislation or any proposal is perfect. The hope is that we have time to go back throughout the years and make necessary corrections or even adjustments. But I think NAFTA history is a great reference point, especially when it comes to trade deals like NAFTA. It was destructive, and in terms of what it did for our economic base in the state of Indiana, I think it's going to be several more decades until we can fully recover.
So how big is TPP?
Well, TPP would expand trade to 11 countries, those countries including Vietnam, New Zealand, and Australia. A
lot has been said that federal regulations are also costing U.S. jobs.
There is support on both sides of the aisle to close loopholes that some believe are encouraging companies to ship jobs overseas.
Katie, thank you so much. It's a disappearing act that no city or town wants to see. So who is key to turning the tide?
Definitely take advantage of any education that's available, so that when things like this come along, it gives you some type of hope that you will be able to find a job.
Investigates. Moving to Mexico continues on RTV6.
Relocating our operations to Monterrey will allow us to maintain high levels of product quality at competitive prices and continue to serve the extremely price-sensitive marketplace.
It's the video seen around the world, nearly 4 million times. It made us all an eyewitness to the raw emotions on the day Carrier dropped that bombshell on its workers. The Carrier decision is a painful reminder to thousands of families who've seen their jobs go overseas. And Jason, we've seen this over and over again in our state.
That's right, Rafael. From Gary South to Evansville, manufacturing jobs gone over the years, those facilities left empty. Take Bloomington, Indiana, of course, with RCA. Sure. 8,000 workers at its peak there, 65 million televisions produced, and then in 1998, boom, all gone, those jobs down to Juarez, Mexico. Now, nearly 20 years later, welcome to RCA Community Park on the city's south side. The plant used to own the land, and now it's one of the last visible reminders of what had been here. Smaller firms have moved into other former facilities, including Cook Pharmica. Lynn Coyne at the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation worked to recruit replacements and keep jobs in town, and says when big companies like RCA, like Carrier have left, they don't come back, and the days of big business are gone.
All the statistics and data will tell you that all new jobs and employment in America are created by small companies, small businesses, not the larger publicly traded companies. I think the number may be as high as 99%. So while there may not be large, massive employers like an RCA or a Carrier, there are lots of other smaller level employers that one would hope would provide opportunities for these people.
And for many former RCA workers, the struggle, of course, continued years after the plant shut down.
What about the benefits for those people that retired?
Well, Technicolor, about 4 years ago, the company that took over, stopped paying the life insurance premiums and benefits to those former workers, calling it a cost reduction move, proof that the hits can keep coming once those jobs have left town.
Jason, thank you so much. Our journey to Mexico led us to a place that is not open to the public.
We would like to build bridges, not build walls.
We'll take you beyond the gate, inside one of Mexico's top tech parks, and show you how they plan to collaborate and compete against Indiana and the rest of the world. The Carrier plant is right over my shoulder, down that valley, part of a large industrial complex made up of many companies. Chasing cheap labor may boost profits, but sometimes it's not good for business. The Reshoring Initiative tracks businesses that leave and return from overseas. Since 2008, 9 Hoosier companies returned after leaving mostly for China. Cities impacted: Muncie, Bloomington, Bedford, and North Vernon.
We need a stronger skilled workforce. We need more tool makers, more precision machinists, more people with those skills that a country like Mexico doesn't have. So we need more people to go to Ivy Tech, to go to Vincennes, to get the kind of training in Indiana that will differentiate the manufacturing in Indiana from the manufacturing in Mexico.
Like the Indy 500, there's a high-speed race to create the next generation of jobs. Not far from the big industrial parks, we toured Mexico's top technology park. Monterrey, like Indiana, is seeking that economic edge. We pulled into the place some call I squared, T squared. This is the Institute for Innovation and Technology Transfer. We were given access to some of the labs and testing sites working on the birth of the next discovery. Whether it's improved insulation for your home or medical tools for your doctor.
We would like to compete with brains, not with hands.
Dr. Jaime Parada Avila oversees the tech park in Monterrey. He says the countries of North America must unite to keep up with the emerging Asian markets, where innovation is on the radar, and the people will work for less than $3 an hour.
When Mexico signed the North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, No, more than 20 years ago, we have to accept this important decision. We have to abandon some low added value activities and jobs because we are no longer competitive.
3,000 people, including scientists and engineers, keep this place on the move. They work with private companies like Navistar and Pepsi, as well as researchers from Monterrey's University of Technology. Each brings a key ingredient. In an economic race, everyone in the world wants to win.
It's a global challenge for everybody. Everybody's looking for for good jobs. Everybody's looking for good income. Everybody's fighting to create the best conditions for our societies. So we need to determine how can we work together, Mexico, Canada, and the States, in this challenge as a region. Building bridges, not building walls.
Purdue University has an agreement with the Tech Park. It encourages joint research programs on such things as biotechnology, agriculture, and energy-efficient home appliances.
I had planned on just working until my body wouldn't let me work or I died.
Loyal to the end. This man is on the way to pick up a delivery he'd like to share with you. We keep talking about Carrier, but the Westside factory produces furnaces under 8 other brand names: Bryant, Keeprite, Payne, Tempstar, Comfort Maker, Heil, Arcoair, and Day and Night. We met one man familiar with all those brands and most of the clauses in his union contract. But there's one clause that may surprise you.
I said, "Do you know who I am?"
It's Larry.
He looked at me and says, I said, "Aren't you going to be good for Mommy and Daddy?"
Last name Linville.
He never said another word. Well, I said, "I caught you being good for Mommy and Daddy. Then I'll give him a candy cane."
He's on a road trip to Greenfield for a special delivery.
I didn't know there was anywhere else you could buy candy canes in the summer.
The candy canes are his calling card. And with the beard and hair, people always take a second look.
It must be Santa Claus.
He ran low on the seasonal treats he passes out throughout the year.
I love it. It's fun.
And found the place to fill his supply.
I hear you have some candy canes here.
We do. We just happen to have some.
Oh, that's just the right size to carry in my pocket. I carry candy canes with me most of the time. Probably got some in my pocket now. Some are broke, some aren't.
He never takes a break from the holiday spirit.
So I went in one day and there was one really giving Mom a fit. And I walked up to him and I said, "Don't you think you ought to be good for Mommy?" He looked at me and never said another word. She said, "Thank you."
Larry is currently the longest-serving employee at Carrier, with 51 years. The Mexico announcement was made on his 70th birthday.
I had planned on just working until my body wouldn't let me work or I died. I didn't want to retire.
Now that he's fully stocked,
thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
The candy is a sweet reminder for those who are naughty.
How about Carrier? United Technologies. No, they would be on a good list now. Too many people being hurt.
And a reward for those who are nice, that the man with the world's most famous list is always checking it twice. So be on the lookout. Larry plans to pass out his seasonal treats throughout central Indiana. I'm Rafael Sanchez. For all of us here at RTV6, we thank you for watching.
Corporate greed has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Carrier, rich and rude, we don't like your attitude.
Americans, workers everywhere, we're going to stand up, we're going to fight back, and we're going to beat United Technologies.
I think what that coffin represents is they're burying themselves because they're not going to get the quality and they're not going to get the perfection and stuff that we put our heart into.
Stab us in our back.
1,400 families are suffering. Kids, fathers, wives, everybody moving this crap to Mexico. Needs to stay right here.
Everybody wants to save $1, but how much is enough? I mean, whenever you're making $7 billion, I think that's kind of going overboard a little bit.
Carrier workers have captured the attention of our nation. Now RTV6 streams their story to the world live. May 10th, a major town hall event.
Watch it live at 6 p.m. on your computer or your phone.
Plus, the RTV6 News team is working for you on the IndyChannel.com and the RTV6 app. See digital documentaries, extended coverage, previous specials, and upcoming events. Our commitment to the Carrier story continues at RTV6, the Indy Channel.